Triple Triad, designed by battle system planner Takeyoshi Nakazoto, is a card game in the world of Final Fantasy VIII available as a minigame. Over the years, it has proven itself to be not only one of the best minigames in Final Fantasy, but one of the best minigames of any game ever. While receiving such a good rep, many players don't understand the importance of Triple Triad on their first playthrough, and they don't bother to play it. Not only do they miss out on insanely useful rewards, but they miss out on hours and hours of fun. Seriously, it's addicting. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how to play the game, the importance of playing the game, and the best practices for refining cards. When learning to play, the first thing you need to look at is the cards itself. So let's take the Ifrit card for example. You obtain this card very early on by defeating Ifrit in the fire cavern with Quistis. Looking at this Ifrit card, you will see three things of importance. One being the four numbers in the top left known as ranks. Each number corresponds to one of the four sides of the cards, 9 being the top, 8 being the left, and so on. The second thing of importance being the fire symbol in the top right known as the element attribute. The element attribute is only used when the elemental card rule is used in places such as Dollet. The third thing is the color of the card. When in a game, the blue cards correspond to your cards and the red cards correspond to your opponent's cards. Triple Triad is played on a 3x3 grid of blank spaces where the cards will be placed. Each player begins with 5 cards and a coin flip decision is made to see who begins the game. The winner may choose one of their 5 cards to play anywhere on the grid. After the first card is played, the opponent may play a card on any unoccupied space on the board and the game continues with players' turns alternating. To win, the majority of the 10 cards must be your color. In order to change the color of the card and win, you must capture the opponent's card, and the way to do that is simple. You need to battle an opponent's card with one of your own using your ranks. Let's make it even easier to understand. The numbers or ranks that are touching each other go into battle once you've placed a card. If your number is higher than your opponent's, you flip their card, and vice versa for your opponent's turn. You cannot lose a card on your own turn. For example, if you place a card down and your rank is below your opponent's, they won't flip your card. You can only lose a card on your opponent's turn. Now that we know the basics of how to play, let's get into the rules. Every region in Final Fantasy VIII has its own set of Triple Triad rules, and once you play with a certain rule set, you carry them with you to the next region. There are ways to manipulate these rules, which I will cover in another video. The rules of a card game can be helpful, but they can also be your downfall. The rules are as follows. Open. The open rule means that all cards are shown freely, meaning you can see your opponent's cards and your opponent can see yours. Elemental. Elemental symbols will be placed on the 3x3 grid, and if you place a fire elemental card such as Ifrit on top of a fire symbol on the grid, Ifrit will gain a +1 bonus to all his ranks for that game. However, if your card doesn't have an element or a different element than the one on the field, you'll be hit with a -1 to all ranks. Sudden death. This rule guarantees that there will be a winner by restarting the game with the same cards after a draw. However, the difference being you'll play this round with the cards you had flipped in the last round. For example, if you had played with a deck of 5 Cactuar cards and your opponent flipped one and you flipped an opponent's card and proceeded to draw, you would restart the match with 4 Cactuar cards and whatever card you flip. This will continue until someone wins. Same. When a card is placed touching 2 or more other cards, with at least one being an enemy card, and the touching ranks of each card are the same, for example 8 touching 8 and 2 touching 2, then both cards would be flipped in that turn. Same wall. Same wall is an extension to the same rule, but the outer wall of the grid is counted as an A rank, meaning you only need to be touching one card to trigger same. Random. The worst rule in Triple Triad that does exactly as described. When this rule is active, you don't get to pick your 5 cards. It's random. What a joke. Plus. Similar to same, the plus rule requires a card to be placed touching 2 other cards. When a card is placed, if the numbers of the placed card and 2 or more adjacent cards add up to the same amount, these cards will all be captured. Combo. This rule doesn't show on the rule list, but it's active at any time the same or plus rule is active. When you flip a card using either 2 of those rules, those flipped cards also act as if you just placed them. So if they have higher ranks than any other cards around them, you'll flip those too. There are also different trade rules which determine how many cards the winner takes at the end of the game. 1 lets the winner choose 1 card from the deck. Diff lets the winner choose 1 card per score difference, so either 2, 4, or 5. All allows the winner to take all 5 of the opponent's cards. And the most unique rule is direct, which allows players to take the cards that are their color at the end of the game. Even if you win a match, you can still lose your cards. So now we know how to play the game, it's time to learn why Triple Triad is so important in Final Fantasy VIII. Triple Triad is how you make yourself incredibly overpowered incredibly early in this game. In the first 2 hours of gameplay, you can have Squall strong enough to solo the first 2 discs just by utilizing Triple Triad and GF abilities. Quetzalcoatl's card mod ability allows you to refine items from your cards. These items can then be refined into magic spells which are used to junction to your stats. Balaam Garden is home to some of the most useful cards in the game, including Abyss Worms, who refine into windmills, which refine into tornado spells, and if you have the patience you can collect 50 Ruby Dragon cards and refine them into 100 flares, which will sort your strength stat for the entire game. You can also obtain the Questus and Zal cards very early in the game. Questus can be eventually refined into triples using GF abilities, and Zal's card turns into 3 Hyper Wrists, which is an item that teaches your GF the strength plus 60% ability. Again, all of this can be done in the first 2 hours of gameplay if you know what you're doing. Not only does Triple Triad get you insanely overpowered, but it also gives you an escape from the story. I've played countless games where I've gotten bored of the story because it's all that's been available to play. With Triple Triad, it's a mini game that adds nothing to the story. It takes your mind off things, and it's actually crazy addicting. It's a well-known fact over my Twitch stream that I'm a Triple Triad addict. I swear I can stop anytime. It's something that Square executed perfectly, and in my experience, it's something that no other game company has quite managed to replicate. Okay, we've made it to the final point of the video, and if you've made it this far, well done. The best practices to refining cards is really personal preference. There's no real right or wrong, but there is some things you need to watch out for. If you refine any normal card, such as an Elastoid or a Wendigo card, you can always get that card back by either winning it in a card game or carding them directly from a battle. However, if you refine a GF or character card at any point, that's it. You're not seeing that card again until the very end of the game, at the point of no return. So when you refine rare cards, make sure that you have a competitive deck beforehand so you don't cut yourself short and start losing games that would have been easier with them. So that's Triple Triad in a nutshell. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything you'd like me to cover? Leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to help you. If you found this video helpful and at all entertaining, then do me a favor and hit that like button. I'm currently doing a Final Fantasy marathon over on my Twitch channel, and the link is in the description, so come along and hang out with the crew and share your tips and tricks with us. We'd really love to have you there, but I'm gonna leave it at that. My name's been Tom, you guys have been absolutely awesome, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.